welcome back to the studio. So I have with me here Mr. Sonia, who is the editorial page editor of the Nation newspaper. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I have Dr. Felix Olorinda, who is the public affairs analyst and the certified protection professional. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So on the 13th of August, there was a meeting, National Council of State, and there was also the Nigeria Governors Forum, and I think they met at two separate meetings, and in all of it, both parties came together to give a vote of confidence to the current administration, or the president rather, President Bola Tinubu, commending him for policies and the decisions he has made so far the course of the I think 14 months now in office. But let me get your reactions. How do you react to this? I mean, looking at all that is happening and has happened in Nigeria, and then we have past leaders and governors and ministers come together to give the president a vote of confidence. How do you react to that? Okay, let's start with Mr. Sonia.
Okay, you see, unless you are privy to, it's like, somebody who set an exam script, and then he has a marking scheme, and then he assesses them, and then you say, you now want to look at whether or not he's fair in his assessment of the situation. Only somebody who is privy to the things that went up behind the scenes could objectively determine whether or not the score sheet was fair. But having said that, I think the whole look at the meeting. The meeting is coming in the context, the background of the recent upheavals about the cost of living crisis in the country, and a lot of discordant voices as to which direction the country is actually headed, and whether or not this is the right path to go, given the circumstances the country has found itself. Of course, till date, opinions divided whether or not the policy that the administration has put in place is actually yielding the kind of desired result, or whether it's actually the kind of thing that Nigeria needs at this time. So, viewed in that background, I think the Council of States probably sat down, they were taking through all the various things that the government is doing, the background things, their projection of where the country ought to be, and looking at all the various variables, I think it came to a conclusion that, yes, as challenging as things might be, I think the administration is on the right path. Now, you may disagree, you may agree. It's a matter of what they are able to draw from it, on the basis of what they were told, the kind of conclusions. Because you see, Nigerians will never be agreed on the issue of whether or not the country is doing very well. Even now, a lot of people believe that the country should go back to subsidizing fuel. For instance, they believe that the issue of convergence, the margin of forex risk, were wrong-headed. A lot of people believe that some of the things that government is doing could have been done better. All of these are still matters of opinion. The fact of the matter is that the administration, they have drawn their policies and they are pushing. Now, you may have difference, you may have your issues in the direction they are headed, but they are convinced that this is what the country needs at this time. So, to that extent, I think based on their understanding of where of what the administration has done, and where the administration probably told them they were headed, and they were convinced that it was the right thing to do at this point in time, and so they came up with that. I have no reason to disagree with that. The same thing with the Governors Forum. The Governors Forum too, because they are part of the team too. Virtually every policy directly impacts even their own local domestic policies, and so if they are convinced that yes, challenging as the times are, we are headed in the right path. I think that's just a background in which we will view as to our judgment. I think for now I want to reserve my judgment about whether or not they were right or wrong.
Okay, but let me direct the question to you, sir.
Okay.
Would you pass a vote of confidence to the president, looking at the 14 months?
Let me say that it is not for me to pass a vote of no confidence. But you see, looking at the policies, some of the policies that the administration is pursuing, between me and you, I would say some of them are inevitable. For instance, let's look at the most contentious one now, which is the issue of fuel subsidy. The fact of the matter is that the country could no longer continue to bear the burden, that huge quantum of subsidy. You may argue from now to tomorrow that the country has no basis to import fuel. The fact of the matter is that we are importing fuel. And to the extent that you have to use your and foreign exchange to bring in this fuel to the country and sell at price lower than the prevailing price, it means the money will have to come from somewhere to subsidize it. That's the whole argument about subsidy. If all the people that contested for presidency in 2023 elections said they're going to remove it, so I think Nigeria has a kind of consensus around that issue of subsidy. Okay, that's one. The other is about the exchange rate, which are the two major consequential policies this administration took actually. Now, again, look at it this way. We have a resource, a national resource, whose supply is finite, extremely finite. What you earn in forex is determined by how much of crude you are able to sell. At a time that, what volume, what export do we have really? We are challenged by capacity issues in terms of our export. Even the oil that we are producing, we can't even meet OPEC quota. And then we are stuck with a situation whereby a country that has an OPEC quota of 1.8, 1.9, we are barely able to pump 1.1, 1.2 to the market. So we have a problem there. So the question is, how do you manage the limited forex available? Other than the past time consolidation, we found where you have 2 or even 3 rates converging in the market. It means somebody can walk into government, into receiver and get allocation at 400 and something, and then he finds it because of the margin of arbitrage, he can sell. And so this administration said, no, we can't continue to, because it fuels corruption. Okay, people who want it, who truly desire to have it at the official rate, they can't get it. People who have people in government who have powerful connection, they get it, and then they sell them. So because I said no, let's unify all the rates so that whatever anybody says, nobody will now say that corruption segment is taken out. Now, the effect on the economy is very devastating. That's another thing. How to manage the effects. So if you're asking me to judge the in terms of policies, I would say the policies were very sound in conception. But in terms of whether or not the impact on the economy has been well moderated, then we can debate it and say yes, the government ought to have done better in several respects, because these things were almost predictable. Because the moment, in an import-dependent country like ours, the moment you devalue the currency, which was exactly what happened, then you expect that it will evaporate in the market prices, and that's exactly what we are going through now. That Nigerians are struggling, and unfortunately, food prices at the same time too seems to have gone lower because of other factors too, like, as we are saying, problems of transportation, because transportation is a very key component. Because as soon as you removed the subsidy, transportation costs also went, and that directly impacted
every
other thing. So it's a mystery. Good policy or well-intended policies, okay, but the outcomes have been very, very challenging. That's the way I see it.
All right. Okay. So let's have Mr. Felix.
So I'm going to see it differently from a different perspective. I think what is clean our nation, we must be very frank, and I think you do not expect that these people will not pass vote of confidence. The only person that could have attended and have a different opinion was not in that meeting. That was President Obasanjo. He would have a different opinion, and he was not in that meeting. Maybe he joined by Zoom, I don't know. But you don't expect the other people who were there to say anything different from what they said. The thing is this country is broke, and we have high cost of government. I expect that the president, from the band that he came from, you can't have 48 ministers in Nigeria. The biggest economy in the world is managed by 15 cabinet in the US. What do you have 48 ministers for? These are the key issues that we expect this government to touch. You understand? The other day, that senator from Kano was telling us he gets 21 million. How do you justify in an economy that's not performing? How do you pay senators 21 million? And the other spokesperson from the Senate said, no, it's a salary and whatever. What do they call it? The other, But at the end of the day, and this is not the first time we're hearing this. We have heard it from Senator Shehu Sani when he was saying that the money they were paying them is too much. when he left. He told us. So we have a government where can be paying our politicians. We don't even need a bicameral legislature in the first place. What do we have that we are maintaining House of Rep? How many of 360 members? We have Senator 105 members, almost 400. We don't need them. We need to. Is government ready to cut down on the cost of governance? And when we remove subsidy, what we have done is that you stop subsidizing Nigeria and you allow subsidize the political appointees, the governors. Because now we know that the state government are now getting more than 100% of what they were getting before. Because when the subsidy was removed, there's much money to share. Now they share trillions of naira. And you say, what are the state governors doing with that money? You know that most of them will keep this money, even if foreign exchange, and be ready to work on their next political office. So we have a situation that is not passing vote of confidence. You don't expect that it will not pass vote of confidence because there's a disconnect between the leadership. That's the problem where it's not with Asiwaju government. It has always been. The people over there, they don't even know what we are going through. So what I expect the president to do is to have an independent to know what, because before you remove the soil subsidy, you must know that it will affect. Look, that first subsidy was removed and it was from 200 that we're paying today, and tomorrow it became 600,000. That was like how much percentage? There's nowhere that has been done in the world that you will not have crisis. It is because we are resilient as Nigeria, we are patient with government. That's why we waited. Because we can't do it anywhere that people will not react. Because all of a sudden, bread, ordinary bread, you can't even buy bread. I gave the beggar, the last time I buy my car, I gave him 100 naira. I said, sir, this thing can't buy bread. he didn't collect it from me. Yes, that's true. And I have to give him 500 naira. He now thanked me. That he only wanted to eat, not that he need money for anything. That when I gave him 500 naira, I said, sir, this thing can't buy me anything. And I said, I know it's true. So we have a situation where there's a disconnection between the people that are in government and the people that are leading. Because people, there have been no...
So do you really think that the people at the government level don't really know what is going on? They
don't know. If they know,
really think
yes, I think so. Once they get into those offices, if they know, you will not be buying.
What if they know?
It will not be. If the government know, they will not approve that the legislature will be buying a vehicle of 160 million as official car. They call it whatever they call it. You don't produce in your country. And you have forest problem. You are making the economy of those countries, Japan, where those vehicles are imported for. Why can't you buy cars? Can't they ride a car of 40 million to do their legislative duties? Do you know that some of them are committee members of NNPC or all those paratata? They will still sell cars officially. Do you know that? Because I know how this government, some of this work is in government. If somebody is a committee chairman of NNPC will still buy him official car in those 4 years. The deputy chairman of that committee, NNPC will still buy them car. If they are the master board chairman, they will still do that. So we have a select group of politicians who are fighting fat on our commonwealth and do not know that Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians have never suffered like this before. The government need to know. It's not about passing vote of confidence by some leaders who have left the office. Of course, they will not say anything different. On the governors, what do you expect them to say? But now we know that the former governor of Kogi State refused to appear before any court. It's alleged that he has 80 billion naira. You can imagine. So what are we dealing with? If you have 80 billion in the state of Kogi, when salaries were not paid to civil servants for many years, have salary this and that, and you have one person who was in that office as governor and he had 80 billion naira. And we have been hearing of this 120 billion. Look at the CBN governor, 4.something billion dollars and all of that. So we have a situation whereby the people in government, politicians, there's a disconnect between what they are doing and what we are going through.
What the people are doing. Okay, but because we have been around this fuel subsidy issue, let's also not forget that within the week, a badge of CNG buses, yes, was brought in, and the president officially revealed it and all of that. So don't we also feel that somehow this government are trying their best, but I mean, it obviously looks like the hardship is biting too hard on the people, and again, which now brings us to the protest. I also want to feel that the protest also impacted, calling up for that meeting, the End Bad Governance protest, that was slated for 10 days and all, and the protest came to an end, and eventually the protest had turned into something else in some parts of the country, northern Nigeria, to be specific, where we had some young people, asking for military rule in Nigeria, which obviously means that they are saying we don't want the democratic system of governance anymore. But let me get our view on that, because now looking at it, okay, these past leaders, and I also want to look at it from the angle of especially the former president. It is believed that, okay, they've been in that position, so they have that wide knowledge of a better understanding of how it should be and all. So they're coming to say, okay, yes, the president is doing well, we give him a vote of confidence. Now it shows that, okay, probably he's doing something right. But again, for him to be doing something right, but we still have Nigerians who are still coming out to still say we don't want this government, bring back military. Okay, yes.
Let me say this. People, you see, it's not. I don't think it's the correct thing to ask somebody to score himself.
Okay.
Now, you talked about those leaders, those past leaders. You see, they can only appreciate things from their own perspective, which is very narrow compared to perspective. It's like a man, a doctor. A patient is wheeled into the theater, he works on the patient, and then he says, I've done my best. And then the patient is wheeled out of the theater again. And the patient says, look, I'm not worse than, I'm feeling some pains. He says, no, I've done all the best I can. Until the patient is able to get on his feet. There's no, you see, there's a disconnect there. Now, the truth of the matter, okay, let's look at it this way. He mentioned the fact that the person who probably would have objected was not there. Who is he referring to? Olusegun Obasanjo. Olusegun Obasanjo had 8 years in government. He even tried to extend it. In the whole of 8 years, he came in to meet NNPC refinery post-trade. He met it. That time it had been given to Chrome to fix. He said, no, Chrome does not know jack about this thing. He spent the whole of 8 years. He could not do anything. It was on the eve of his departure in May 2007 that he sold it to Blue Star. Now ask yourself, if he had a whole of 8 years to fix the refinery, he didn't do it. In the last minute, he sold Kaduna and Port Harcourt. In the last minute of the administration, and then the same man is coming now to pontificate on the fuel subsidy, which he had a whole of 8 years to fix, which he didn't do. Then you just wonder the kind of motive that he has. Obasanjo, nobody takes him seriously anymore, because even when he means well, the fact of the matter is that he's himself not objective, because all his posturing is anti this administration. But that's the whole problem. The issue really is this, for me as a Nigerian. He mentioned some very fundamental issues that we have not really got down to address, which is the issue of the bloated cost of governance. I think it's something Nigerians look. All this, you see, the last protest which you referred to the extent that it mirrored the frustrations of Nigerians and the cost of living, you will say it is legitimate. But you see, Nigeria, the problem in Nigeria is that every legitimate protest, there are always politicians who are also angling, people who lost elections wanting to exploit it for their own devious ends. And that's the problem. I do not, for instance, I can't speak at this protest. It's legitimate everywhere. But you see, we saw it in the yellow vest in France. It was sustained, but at some point, the question is, I check all the history of some things. At some point, it will spiral into some kind of violence, and that's the kind of thing that we can afford. Now, you say you want to protest for 10 days, fine, but leave the road for people who have a business, who must earn their living. The person who sells gala, he wants to ensure that he's able to at least sell enough while this your protest is lasting. Goes on to feed himself daily. That has been the problem with Nigeria Post. How to manage it in such a way that it achieves productive. You see, the points have been well articulated. I don't think anybody. You say whether the people in government are hearing. They are hearing. The truth of the matter is that some of them are tone deaf. But the reality is that there is nothing that is happening here today that anybody look. Even the impervious walls of the villa, they are hearing, because every day they watch television. they hear bits of it through their relations or whatever.
And they read newspapers.
And the newspapers. The truth of the matter is that. But the truth again is that some of the things that people are asking government to do, short of miracle, can be done the way. You mentioned the issue of CNG. That's a very innovative program that the government is coming up with. Nigeria is resourced, in natural gas, but up till now, no government are taking this seriously. We are going to see effort of this application in that direction. I think it will be sustained. Okay. You see, a lot of things. Let me tell you, there is no country as big as Nigeria that can afford to run the economy of petrol. You have to find some other means, cheaper means to move people around. Britain, I mean, go to UK. You pay through your nose to drive your car through London. But what the government has done is to provide for you rail alternatives. You go to the underground. You can move anywhere you want to go. Rich, poor, alike can go anywhere you want to go. I want people to wake up from my house. I say I'm going to work. I don't need to put my car on the road. I want people to go find cheapest and the most convenient means possible. A car does not attract. It doesn't give you a status symbol. In the past, it used to be a sign whether or not you have arrived. But now, all what we want is how to get from point to point. Today now, it's no longer a debate. There are things you ordinarily will have to go to Lagos to do before that. Ordinarily for you could get it done, which means we are making progress. But my own is that you see the government make progress in those things that are concrete. I do not see, for instance, and that's where I have problem with the government, the bit of this government. When you were going to remove the subsidy, I thought one of the earliest things to do is to draft a comprehensive, emergency program to rehabilitate the railway tracks from Lagos to Kano, Maiduguri to Port Harcourt, to secure that corridor to move goods from north to south. You will see, if they had done that, I can tell you, this humongous price of food, the inflation we're having, particularly the food inflation, will have been substantially moderated, because demand in Kano, all these to is just to put those things there and then you bring it down. Demand so you will see mutual exchange. Don't forget, once upon a time in this country, whether the corridor of Jeba, Zungeru, towns along that corridor, they were economic hubs, because as the trains moved, economic activities took place along those kind of corridors. People could bring their goods, put it in the train, move it where they want to do at cheap cost. I thought that those are the kind of things that government ought to have done, which they did not do. But now, to bring a trailer load of yam from Otubo to Lagos. I mean, the other day I wanted to send some things from Alaba to Ilorin here in a 6-wheel truck. I was slapped the bill of 450,000 naira. And the guy, he showed me, he said, I'll buy 100 liters of diesel at 1,600 naira. How much is that? And I opened my mouth. He said that countless people on the road who collect here and there. And so these are the things that government ought to have faced to at least directly address this thing. Sharing by way of palliative, to me, this is the issue. The issue is to force those costs down so that government will be seen to clearly intervene in terms of those things that actually can truly drive down the cost of doing business in this country.
All right, so let's have a...
okay, so I think the big elephant in the room is this crude oil, and that's because with that, we are the only country in the whole world that's producer of crude oil and then importing refined products. This is not just about this government, it has always been. And I think I was listening to a television program, former minister under Buhari, Kashuku, he said if the refinery failed to work in 2019, he was going to resign. 5 years after, the refineries have not worked. So I think the issue is that I think that the removal of fuel subsidy is not well thought out. Even though all the governor, all the presidential aspirants probably are going to remove it, but I think the job was not well to know what will be the effect of this. Look, right now, people find it difficult to survive in Nigeria. I think the government must know that. Whatever do you have to do? Because it's not everybody that can. We have patience. Have we not been patient? Because you are elected for 4 years, for 48 months. Out of 48 months, we are 14 months gone. And we are not seeing the hope that is going to, crystallize in the next, I don't know how many months.
But don't you think 14 months is still...
Out of 48 months? No. 14 months, you see, look, let us face it. 14 months out of 48 months. that's I don't know, I'm not good in mathematics. I want to give you percentage. So what we are saying is that, see, government is not rocket science. Let us face it. You cannot have the economy we have in Nigeria and the lifestyle of the politicians will continue like this. It will not work. I was listening to one professor, Tony Falola. Prof, democracy is not our. You can look at the bigger picture. The people, the way they are living, they are supposed to be servants of the people. You can't be paying your senators 21 million in a month. How much is that in a year? Why are we not talking about these issues? Why are we not saying that senator cannot be any 21 million in Nigeria? In the Mohammed, shall you pay your lecturer professors? I have my friends who are professors in they are getting barely 500,000 in a month. Then you pay your politicians this humongous money. What are they going to do with it? So the real issue, we are not tackling it. Because the politicians should not be paid more than the permanent secretaries. That was what we used to have that in this country during the vision of look, I'm a Tinubu supporter. I've always followed him from the SDP here in the Abiola house. I will go there as a student of the University of Lagos. So before you take that office, you must do your homework very well. These people have not suffered like this in Nigeria before. Let us be very clear. If they can pass that message to him, that you need to work hard. I don't know how they're going to do it, because they will tell you our legislature, they have their own independent body of government and this and judiciary and all of that. But if you are going to continue to pay these people that amount, you won't have money for anything. You won't have money for development because there's no road. You are buying them 160 vehicles. Where is road? I drove the last road to Ife from Lagos. There's no road. So you don't have roads, good roads. Fuel is so expensive. So most of the farmers, they are in the interior, they want to bring the food to. Part of why the cost of living is high is because of cost of transport and bad roads. So why are we not talking about that? Why are we not doing that? How much can we save when we don't pay these people this numbers because they don't need it? Okay, then we'll be able to save some money and put it into healthcare, into road rehabilitation or whatever construction, and make life easy. Because let me tell you, when Nigerians see the body language of these people who are politicians that were elected, it will not be the criticism will not be as this. But you see, can they drive those vehicles to the communities where they serve? Can they drive those SUV?
So are we saying that the protesters who were calling for military rule? No,
it's not justified, because military rule is not going to be better. Of course, I mean, I don't support military rule. I just want that the politicians that we have in Nigeria today to put on their thinking cap and know that look, things are very difficult for people. People can't eat because people can't eat. They are not asking for anything now. They say they cannot eat. Figure out if you have a family that has 6 children today. Some of us, we know how much we are bombarded every day begging for money. Because I still work as a pastor in my congregation. I know how many people we have to support. How many people have in their school. They can't pay school fees. They can't give them money to feed. So let us, the people in government, know this, that things are very difficult and they have to work hard and they have to change their lifestyle, their body language, have to reflect that this country, the economy, the policy is not working. So they have to retune. And it's a serious work. That's why when you see American president, by the time they get there, Obama, when he was there, in few years, see all the, because it's a hard work. It's not that you go there and start flying about and just think that it's not enjoyment. It's hard work. Let them know that they have to do the hard work to get this country out of the woods. This country is in the woods.
All right, you are still on to